The Hypnobirthing Toolkit is a complete hypnobirthing and birth preparation course helping you to go into the birth of your baby with confidence and positivity. It's completely self-paced with pre-recorded videos, presentations, audios, PDFs, plus monthly live classes. It's a more affordable and flexible way to learn hypnobirthing and help you have the positive birth experience you deserve. Follow the link in the description below to begin your positive birth journey today. Hello and welcome to the Bell Mama Hypnobirthing and Positive Birth podcast. My name is Ellie Waddington. I'm a hypnobirthing teacher, antenatal instructor and positive birth coach, and I'm here to help you go into the birth of your baby with a positive mindset. Every week I share my top tips, advice and amazing birth stories to help you go from fearful and anxious about your birth to positive and confident. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and let's get into this episode. Hey gorgeous mama, welcome back to another episode of the podcast. Before we get into this week's topic, I just want to share with you a little story about something that happened to me and my little boy on Sunday. Sunday just gone. So he does rugby every Sunday morning. He goes to rugby training at our local rugby club, and usually he plays with the minis. He trains with the minis, and this week he got invited to move up to the under sixes, which was quite a big deal for him. It's quite a big jump, and he was really excited. But as we got closer to Sunday, as we got to the day, we were getting in the car, and he started saying things like, "Oh, Mummy, I don't think I want to go. What if I am not as good as the other boys and girls? What if I drop the ball? What if I'm not as quick as them? What if I fall over in the mud?" And so I said to him, you know what, you might fall over in the mud, you might drop the ball, you might not be as quick as them, but you also might make a friend, you also might have a really good time. You shouldn't let the fear of something negative happening stop you from doing something which could turn out to be an absolutely incredible experience. And the reason I bring this up now is because I kind of apply this same sort of logic to birth. When I'm preparing with my hypnobirthing clients, with you guys for birth, often you guys are telling me things like, "Oh, I'm really worried that I'm not going to be able to handle the pain. I'm really worried that things aren't going to go the way I want them to. I'm really worried that something's going to go wrong with my baby." And I always say, yeah, do you know what? There is a possibility that could happen. But you also might have the most amazing experience giving birth ever. You might get the birth of your dreams. And the thing is, we just don't know how these things are going to go. We don't know how your birth is going to go. Literally nobody can predict how it's going to go. You don't know how your rugby training is going to go. You don't know how life is going to go. So why would you spend the next 4 or 5 months of your pregnancy worrying that something might go wrong and, worrying yourself and anxious about that when you could spend the next 4 or 5 months thinking, well, what if it goes right? I could have the most amazing experience of my life. And I'm reminded of the poem by Eric Hansen, and it goes, "There is freedom waiting for you on the breezes of the sky, and you ask, what if I fall? Oh, but my darling, what if you fly?" Just think about that, when you're thinking about all the things that could possibly go wrong with your birth. Yes, they could happen, but what if you fly? What if something absolutely amazing happens instead? And let's be honest, for the vast majority of you who are having low risk pregnancies with no risk factors, and I say that in inverted commas because I really hate risk factor labels. I absolutely hate the labels of high risk and low risk. But for the majority of you out there, you are going to have really straightforward pregnancies and really straightforward births. That's what the statistics say. That's what the numbers say. The odds are overwhelmingly in your favour that you are going to have a perfectly straightforward birth. So think that you are going to fly, not that you're going to fall. Anyway, so that's not what we're actually talking about this week. This week I'm talking to you all about how do you incorporate hypnobirthing into your daily life? And the reason I think this is quite a good topic is because I can remember when I was pregnant with my second baby. That's when I discovered hypnobirthing, and I did my hypnobirthing course, and then I was kind of given this list of things that I should be doing on a daily basis to change my mindset, to practice hypnobirthing, and to get, ready for my positive birth experience. And I remember thinking, what? Like, look at this massive list of things that I have to do every day. Every day! I have to do these things every single day. And it makes sense. Yes, you do have to do these things every day. But my God, for those of us that are busy, those of us that have lives, outside of the birth world, it's really hard to try and incorporate these daily hypnobirthing practices into your everyday life every single day. Now, I think it's really important to understand why you have to do these things every day. And that's because you're trying to undo decades of social conditioning. Okay, if you think you are, 20, 30, 40 years old, you have spent all of that time being told that birth is negative, being told that birth is scary, being told that birth is painful, being told that birth is going to go wrong. You have images in your head. You know all those TV images of like Rachel from Friends on her back screaming and pushing, Phoebe's waters breaking in the apartment, and all these other images of people giving birth on film and television, all the stories that you've heard from your friends and family. And, they're all negative. And so that kind of cumulative effect of all those negative stories, they've built up an association in your subconscious mind. So your subconscious mind thinks, whether this is true or not, your subconscious mind has only ever taken in one particular message of birth, that it's bad, that it's negative, and that's what it thinks. So that means that now, if you were to go into labour right now with that sort of mentality, with what your subconscious mind believes about birth now, it's going to go into fight or flight mode. It's going to release adrenaline in your body telling you that birth is scary and dangerous. And you end up with this kind of bizarre internal conflict where your subconscious mind is telling you that birth is the scary thing you need to get away from. But obviously you can't get away from birth because it's in your body. And in order for birth to unfold and to happen naturally and efficiently, you need to be calm and relaxed and be releasing oxytocin. So there's massive internal struggle that's happening within your head. And you just end up going crazy, basically. So what you need to start doing now is to start changing the way that your subconscious mind thinks about birth. Now, if you were to replace all of those negative messages that you have taken in about birth, you'd have to spend decades replacing them with positive messages. You'd have to take in an equal number of, or even more, positive messages of birth than you have negative messages in order to change the way that your subconscious mind thinks. But in hypnobirthing, we use the practice of hypnosis. Now, hypnosis, as you very well know from your hypnobirthing course, is not actually some dodgy dude standing on a stage swinging a pendulum, making you go into a trance. Hypnosis is actually all about going into a deep state of relaxation, and you are in a state of deep relaxation several times a day. You are in a state of hypnosis several times a day already without even knowing it. So, for example, that state just as you start to wake up, or just as you fall asleep, that kind of in between sleep and in between being awake kind of state, that's hypnosis. Or if you're doing something really repetitive, really mundane, like painting a wall or shelling peas or crocheting, something where you're doing something really repetitive that you don't really have to focus on, that you go into a state of hypnosis. And the good thing about being in a state of hypnosis is that your subconscious mind is way more suggestible to taking in new messages. It's way more suggestible to being reprogrammed and to taking in that new information. And that's why hypnosis is actually a really effective form of therapy. So that's why hypnosis is used in treating phobias, and helping with weight loss, treating traumas and things like that. It's actually a really, really effective tool, and it is grounded in science. It's not woo-woo, it's not crazy. It genuinely works. And what's interesting to note about hypnosis is that you cannot be hypnotized. So you cannot be forced into a trance. You can't go into a state of hypnosis with someone else putting you there. You have to be a willing participant. And if at any point you don't like what's happening, then you can immediately snap yourself out of it. So you can't be stuck in a state of hypnosis. Okay, you can bring yourself out of it at any time that you want. So all hypnosis really is self-hypnosis, because no one else can hypnotize you, if that makes sense. You can be guided in hypnosis though, and that's exactly what the hypnobirthing guided relaxations are that you get when you book onto a hypnobirthing course, either with me or with another provider, or if you do an online course, you'll usually get a bundle of hypnobirthing MP3s, and that's usually your teacher talking you through the relaxation process. So you can be guided into that deep state of relaxation, into hypnosis, but you cannot be hypnotized. And so that's a really, really important thing to note. So we can use hypnosis basically to reprogram the way that your brain thinks about birth, so that by the time it comes to birth and you go into labor, your subconscious mind is not thinking this is a danger that you need to run away from. It's not going to be releasing adrenaline to help you fight birth. It's going to think, oh, do you know what? This is a really positive thing. This is completely normal. This is a normal part of everyday life. This is a natural process. And so you'll just be able to relax into it. You also need this time as well between now and your birth, as much time as possible to practice the techniques as well. So we have obviously the hypnosis, which is going to help you actually change the way that you view birth, but also like the breathing techniques, the visualization, setting anchors and all these different things. You need as much time as possible to perfect those techniques, because it's not something that you can just rock up on the day and nail. You need them to become muscle memory. You need them to become second nature. So the minute you go into labor and you start to experience those contractions, you know what the breathing exercise is. You know how to use visualization, and you know how to use those anchors to help you relax and go into that lovely deep state of relaxation that we want during labor. Now, so the whole point of this episode, so I've gone off on a bit of a tangent there. I didn't really mean to get in depth about hypnobirthing and techniques and all those things. But what we're trying to basically focus on in this episode is how you can incorporate your daily hypnobirthing practice into your already existing daily routine. Because there's a lot to practice, every day you need to be practicing your breathing, you need to be doing the guided relaxations, you need to be setting anchors, you need to be doing your affirmations and visualizations. And if you do them every single day, then you're going to be in such a better headspace by the time it comes to birth, rather than if they're just sporadic. If you do them every single day, they are going to be so much more effective. Now, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about a technique that I actually started doing in my second pregnancy, when I obviously learned about hypnobirthing and I was trying to incorporate these techniques into my daily life, and I didn't realize what it was called. I didn't realize it was really a technique, but I was doing it without really even realizing it. And this is called habit stacking. And I've since read a book called Atomic Habits by James Clear, and he basically talks about habit stacking. Now, the book Atomic Habits is actually a really, really great book. It's not about birth. It's about changing your habits in a minute way to make big changes in your life. Because if you try and make massive leaps, massive changes all at once, then they're not going to stick. Your mind cannot handle making massive changes all at once, and they're doomed to fail, basically. That's why a lot of New Year's resolutions just don't work. They just fail because you're trying to make massive changes too quickly. And atomic means tiny. So what he basically talks about is, if you're trying to make big changes, you make tiny changes one at a time. You change one tiny habit, and that is so much more likely to stick. And then once you have that one tiny habit nailed down, then you move on to the next habit. And so collectively changing all these tiny little habits, that's what makes a big change. So if your goal is to be healthier, for example, it's very tempting to say, right, I'm going to go into the gym 7 times a day. I'm going to drink 3 litres of water every single day. I'm going to start eating completely vegan, raw food. And that's just not doable if your lifestyle is nothing like that already. If you're going to try and make a big change, like, being healthier, start off just by saying, okay, I'm going to drink one more glass of water a day than I already do. Okay. And so once you then have that nailed as a habit, just that one extra glass of water, then you say, okay, on Monday, I'm only going to eat vegan food or what have you. And then you just build up those small habits over time, and then they make a big change, basically. And what he talks about is this thing called habit stacking, where you already have a habit that exists, like brushing your teeth or having a shower or putting the kettle on to make a cup of coffee, and you attach the new habit that you're trying to start, you attach your new habit to something that already exists. And so this is what I recommend that you do when you're trying to incorporate your hypnobirthing into your everyday already existing routine. Attach the new hypnobirthing habits that you're trying to start, attach them to things that you already do. So what I've done is I've just written out basically an example of a day, an average day for an average person, and how you could incorporate your hypnobirthing practices to your everyday tasks as you go through the day. So start off with waking up. Everybody wakes up, presumably. And so as you wake up for the day, instead of scrolling on your phone, instead of swinging your legs out of bed, just take a few minutes to practice your deep, calm breathing. Literally before you've even opened your eyes, just take those few minutes just to practice your calm breathing techniques that you've learnt on your hypnobirthing course. And just take those few minutes. It wakes you up nice and gently, which I think is a much nicer way to wake up anyway, to be honest, than just literally straight away getting out of bed or scrolling on your phone. And just practice your breathing before you've even opened your eyes. Okay, so that's the first thing that you do. Then imagine that you go for a shower, and when you're in the shower, you have your favorite affirmation. So your favorite birth affirmation, like I am strong and capable, or I can do anything for 1 minute. And you write that affirmation in the shower steam. And I do this now, even not with birth affirmations, obviously I'm not pregnant, but with parenting or with my business or health or well-being. And I write my favourite affirmation of the day in the shower steam. And writing affirmations is actually really, really powerful. It's more powerful than listening to them or thinking them. Actually writing it out really helps to cement it into your subconscious mind. So we've woken up, you've done your breathing, you've had your shower, and you've written your affirmation in the shower steam. And then while you're having your breakfast, you can watch a positive birth video. Get yourself onto YouTube. There are literally thousands of positive birth videos on YouTube. Okay, search a positive birth video that resonates with you and the type of birth that you are wanting to have. So if you're wanting a home birth, if you're planning a cesarean, if you're planning a birth center birth, whatever, start watching positive birth videos that resonate with you and the birth situation that you're planning, and just watch a positive birth video every single morning while you're eating breakfast. Then you get in your car and you're driving to work. And while you're driving to work in the car, you can listen to a positive birth podcast. Of course, you can listen to my podcast, the one that you're currently listening to, or there are loads of other great positive birth podcasts out there that I really recommend. So like, there's the Better Birth podcast, there's the Hypnobirthing podcast, there's Midwife's Cauldron. There are loads of really, really great ones out there. Just listen to a positive birth podcast episode every single morning as you're driving to work and when you're driving home from work as well. And that's a really, really great way to get in some of that birth positivity. So then as you go to work, you have your day at work, you come home, you've listened to another birth podcast episode in the car on the way home. And then you're cooking dinner. And so as you're cooking dinner, you start to visualize your perfect birth. Presumably you're cooking something that's quite easy just to zone out of. You don't need to concentrate on it too much. Use that time to visualize your perfect birth. What does it look like? Who's there? Where are you giving birth? What does the room smell like? What smells are you using? What music have you got? Really take that time to get into that visualization and take a time to think about how you want your perfect birth to look. So after dinner, you've had your, evening, doing whatever you do in the evening. Maybe you've gone for a nice walk, maybe you've been on the sofa watching Netflix, and then you decide to have a bath. Now, I know it's a little bit decadent having a shower and a bath both in the same day, but just, bear with me on this. You get in the bath and you use your essential oils, the ones that you're using for anchors, the ones that you're using to associate with relaxation. Maybe some lavender, or maybe a nice scented candle with a lovely scent coming out of it, and you take that time relaxing in the bath with your lovely aromatherapy, your lovely essential oils, and you take that time to bond with your baby. Really take the time to feel what's your baby doing, feel the movements, feel your bump, really appreciate what your body is doing. Your body's doing something absolutely incredible right now. It is really a miracle when you think about what birth actually is, pregnancy and birth, and you realize that things that have to align, that things that have to fall into place for you to become pregnant and stay pregnant and to give birth. It truly is a miracle. So take this time in the bath with your lovely essential oils, your aromatherapy, just to really appreciate what is going on with your baby and your body at the moment. Really take this time to bond with your baby. And then after your bath, you're feeling nice and relaxed, nice and sleepy. You get into bed and you can listen to your Hypnobirthing MP3. Choose whichever one you want from the bundle. If you've done a course with me, you'll have a big bundle of them to choose from. You can buy Hypnobirthing albums on iTunes. You can listen to them on YouTube, or whatever teacher you've done your hypnobirthing course with, you probably will have received a bundle of hypnobirthing MP3s. Choose one that you want to listen to tonight and listen to it in bed as you're falling asleep. And it doesn't matter if you fall asleep halfway through your hypnobirthing audio, because as you fall asleep, you're in that lovely state of relaxation, that lovely deep state of hypnosis anyway, and your subconscious mind is taking in those messages. So that's your day, using hypnobirthing techniques and incorporating them into your daily routine. It seems like a lot when you just kind of write it out, all these different things that you need to be doing every single day, but if you can incorporate them into habits that already exist, into things that you're already doing, then it's a lot less overwhelming, honestly. And do you know what? It's only for 4 or 5 months. It's only until the birth of your baby, which it's going to fly by. Honestly, this time just goes so quickly. So really do take the time to get this practice right. Take as much time as you possibly can to get this practice right. So that's all from me for this week. Back next week with another interview. If you have enjoyed this episode, please do leave a review on whichever podcast platform you are listening to. All the reviews, they mean a lot to me, and they really help to spread the word of hypnobirthing and this podcast and how it can help people. So please do leave a review if you have time. Share with a pregnant friend if you have a pregnant friend you think they would benefit from the podcast, and share with them. You could also go onto Instagram and share one of my posts as well if you wanted to support me on Instagram. That's always greatly appreciated. And if you really want to show your support, you could even follow the link below and buy me a coffee as well, which there are lots of you that do that, and it really does mean so much to me. I'm so grateful for every single one of you that shows support to me and the podcast and my small business. So that's all from me this week. Enjoy the rest of your week. Happy hypnobirthing, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye!